Hello and welcome to our third lesson in using slope-intercept form of a line. The last lesson we looked at, if you already have slope-intercept form of a line, how do we use that conveniently to make a graph? Now we're going to look at what happens if you don't start with slope-intercept form, and instead you start with this form, ax plus by equals c. There are multiple ways to graph that. One of them is to find the x-intercept by making y 0, and then find the y-intercept by making x 0 and using those 2 points. But you can also isolate the y, and then use the techniques we used in the last video where you're graphing from the form y equals mx plus b. All right, so earlier we looked at this form. We called it standard form. We used x-intercepts and y-intercepts and some checkpoints. But this time we're going to take this form and we're going to isolate the y and turn it into slope-intercept form because there's a simple 3-step procedure we use to graph that. So we did learn how to do this in the first of these 3 videos. We solve for y because slope-intercept form is y equals. So in this one, 3x plus 4y equals 0. The first thing I did here was I subtracted 3x from both sides. And when I subtract 3x here and subtract 3x here, I'm left with 4y equals negative 3x. I want to get y by itself. Keep the objective in mind. You want to get y by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And you get y equals negative 3/4 x. Some of you are going, well, where's the y-intercept? Where's my plus b? We don't write it. It's a plus 0. If there's no number after the term with the x, your y-intercept is 0. So the point 0, 0, or the origin actually, is your y-intercept. The slope is negative 3/4. So the first point you're going to graph is the y-intercept at 0, 0. And then you can use negative 3/4 and go down 3. The rise is negative, so you go down and over 4. So 0, 0 is right there. Right there. You graph that first. And then the rise will be negative 3, and the run will be 4. Now, you could make the rise positive 3 and the run negative 4. The run being negative means you go to the left. Depending on where your first point is, sometimes you end up doing that. But you make one or the other. If you usually go up for rise and you have a negative slope, you can go down, which I'll do here, 1, 2, 3. And then the run, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the run goes with the x-coordinate. So I went down 3 and over 4. But I went down because my slope was negative. Gives me a second point. Again, you could always have chosen a value for x and calculated y. If you let x equal 4, negative 3/4 times 4 will give you y, which will be negative 3. And you come at that same point, you plot the point, draw the line. So taking what we had in the prior slide and converting that to slope-intercept form makes it easier to graph. So that's all I wanted to say for this. Is if you know how to graph from this form, the other way you could graph from this form, if I erase everything here, I thought it would all be erased already. The other way you could graph from this form, we kind of touched on it before, but we might not have done enough of it for you to remember, is you find the y-intercept. And we find the y-intercept by making x 0 and solving for y. So I get 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 0. And I get, oh, y equals 0. But the problem with this one is if I do that and then find the x-intercept by letting y equal 0, I get the same point. I don't get 2 points. And then I would have to pick a value for x and calculate y. Graphing from slope-intercept form is a little easier from that perspective. All right. Well, let me know what your questions are, and thank you for watching.